Well, hello there. Hello there to all you wisdom walkers. This is Joja Maria and Saroma coming to you with another episode of Wisdom Walk Talk here on my YouTube channel, Wisdom Walk 2 Self Mastery. And as always, before I get into anything, I'm going to stop and I'm going to, honor the ancestors. I always start with my teachers, Malidoma and Sobonfu Some, from the land of the proud ancestors, Burkina Faso. But I ask and invite you to think of who are those persons that were in your life and that had an impact on you, an influence on you, good, bad, ugly, but that who you know are walking with you and guiding you and helping you either not make the same mistakes they made or helping you just learn more about the truth of who you are. And so, along with my teachers, I always remember, of course, my mom and my dad, all my uncles and aunties, and even have some cousins that left here. Um, but it's so important that we take a moment to invoke the ancestors and honor who and what came before us, whose shoulders we're standing upon, so that we know we do not have to go through this alone. So join me, if you will, saying the names out loud of your ancestors as we invoke them together. Yes. Creator, Mother, Father, God, Source, all the one, all that is. May the ancestors hear our prayers. Ancestors, 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 we call out to you in the beginning of the last half of 2026. And thank you for now guiding us safely through our personal and collective challenges during this chaotic and momentous water year. Thank you for always granting us access to our higher timeline, where we know that unconditional love is the ultimate reward for our self mastery, and that happy endings are our birthright, which we can learn to experience daily. As we navigate through the unknown of 2026, give us easy access to the wisdom we have gained last year and enable us to use this wisdom as we enter a new chapter on our never ending journey of self mastery. Enable us to become peaceful citizens and stewards of the new earth, daring greatly to live out our new narratives and knowing that these are divinely scripted for ourselves and for our world. And most importantly, thank you for continuing to enable us to move forth from the dark ages of modernity by placing our heads below our hearts, valuing people over profits, and always choosing love over fear. And for this, we say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Amen. Ashe Aho Asash and Bismillah, and so it is. Yes, 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 yes. Wow. How you doing, wisdom walkers? How you doing? August 2026 brings us to the middle of the third quarter of this chaotic year, and it is the second and final nature month within this final water year of the decade. Also, this month brings the end of summer vacation, sadness, and back to school excitement, along with the final eclipse of our season. It's a partial lunar eclipse coming up on Thursday, the 27th. And endings and new beginnings continue to take center stage in all of the support that we are being given, even if we can't see it, but we really are being given support. And it is support of the new, previously unimaginable possibilities for humanity's shift into this higher consciousness. So, continuing in August, as I started in July, and I'll go into December. I think in December, it might end in November, but my Wisdom Walk talks are cycling back through those 5 collective annual commitments to reinforce our annual theme of having happy endings. And tonight I'm going to dive deeper into grief and praise honoring by talking with you about embracing emotional presencing and transparency. So I want to thank you for tuning in to expand your awareness and self mastery skills for navigating these challenging energies of 2026. Yes. So I am very, very delighted to be here. When I was pulling this together, it really kind of took me for a loop because I thought that the one I did in March on grief and praise was pretty comprehensive. And so I really had to do some getting still and asking spirit, okay, what am I supposed to talk about now? What am I supposed to do now? And so that's when it came to me to, yeah, let's talk about emotional presency and transparency, presencing and transparency. So I'm going to get to that, defining that for you more in a minute. Hi, Emily. Emily says, good, beautiful evening to you, Jojo. I'm sitting in my garden among the hummingbirds zooming around my head. Wow, how wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. I love hummingbirds. They're such a wonderful totem and always a harbinger of joy, and that we can have our joy. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah, yeah. So I am staying open as I do this presentation to you, because I don't know, I don't know. I went back into my videos from 2019. So I'm actually going to share a clip with you from one from June of 2019. But I just think again, this is part of the time we're living in, that as much as we think we know, we need to keep opening up to learning what we don't know or what we don't think could happen. So yeah, I have my little plan here, got my little paper, but I really am going to be obedient and just kind of listen to where I'm taken with this. Yeah, for you. Hello, Lynn Ann Johnson. Thanks for tuning in. This is a wonderful, wonderful human being that spent many, 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 many years and hours doing ritual with me in Madison, Wisconsin. Yeah, from the Church of, and see, I'm going to forget it. I'm going to forget the name of Jean's church. Shame on me. But anyway, it was Madison, and we had a really good time. And like this time of year, yeah, I would be kind of winding down, probably doing a nature ritual. I think a nature ritual would be happening around this time. Um, but yeah, thank you, Lynn. She's a wonderful person. She's also a writer too. So, those writer people. We something else. We something else. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. And I was talking with my great nephew earlier, and he's in his second year in college, really his third. I think he's in his third. Well, or maybe it's two and a half. Anyway, but he became a resident assistant this year, which is perfect for him. And so we're talking, and he introduced to me to a new term among his generation, which is called having your canon moment, CANON. And it's similar to what I would call being catapulted by spirit. But they get this from the second animated movie about Spider-Man, In the Spider-Verse, which I haven't seen yet, and I definitely got to see it. And in there, it's these folks having a canon moment where their character is evolved, is basically what it said. But something happens, and it could be good, it could be bad, but it's something that transforms them, something that moves them forward along the path. So I just love that. I just love that, the canon moments. I'm going to share a canon moment that I had in 2019 with you. Yeah. And Lynn reminds me, it was a Center for Conscious Living. Yes, 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 yes. My age may not show up in my appearance as much as old as I am, but Not remembering things, definitely be showing up. Yeah, I can't put my finger on it or bring it together. Exactly. Yes, we write people. That's right. We writer people, we write people. And we stay very connected to spirit that most creatives do. You have to because you know you can't do it alone. Not at all. So, I'm going to do a quick review for you just about the annual commitment and what we're working on right now. And I think I do have an overview for you. Yeah, let me just show some slides and get going here. But the first reminder is about having happy endings as our annual theme, and that it requires us honoring vulnerability, self love, unhappy endings, growth mindset, and emotional nutrition. Yes, I love that word. And so we're honoring grief and praise tonight, and this is our nature element commitment. And what I wrote up originally about that is that grief is praise because it is the natural way love honors what it misses. Having happy endings requires honoring unhappy endings. And tonight we're going to be focusing on, excuse me, embracing emotional presencing and transparency. Yeah. Here it is. Here's my little overview. Yeah. So I'm going to define emotional presency and transparency after I do walk through grief and praise for a minute. And then I'm going to give you my personal canon experience. And then, of course, I'm going to leave you with a contemplative exercise as always. Yeah. My quote for tonight comes from that walk in Eckhart Tolle, and this is from his very popular book, The Power of Now. And Eckhart says all negativity is caused by an accumulation of psychological time and denial of the present. Unease, anxiety, tension, stress, worry, all forms of fear are caused by too much future and not enough presence. Guilt, regret, resentment, grievances, sadness, bitterness, and all forms of non forgiveness are caused by too much past and not enough present. Yes, yes, yes. And that's why we're going to be talking about how important it is to have the emotional presence and transparency as something that we do in our lives more so than not. So from March, I talked about unhappy endings from a higher perspective. This is just to remind you. And I talked about these four levels of consciousness. The first being victim consciousness, which is life is happening to you. We don't know who we are and believe we have no choice. We take everything personally. We just victimize, right? But the fourth level is that higher level of oneness consciousness. Life is happening as you. We become one with life by integrating the previous three levels of consciousness to grow ourselves beyond our core wound, to become authentic and responsible for how we react or respond to life. We experience what we believe about ourselves and others. Yes. And so it's with this level of consciousness that we are looking at and exploring unhappy endings and how grief and praise work with us in that. So, at the level of oneness consciousness, unhappy endings are messages from a greater order and direction or God that it's time to go on a journey to heal, to grow, to evolve. It is understood that happy endings are designed to ground and plant you, and unhappy endings are designed to uproot and move you to a new experience. If we ignore the call to experience, accept, and embrace the unhappy endings, we will never be able to experience, accept, and embrace the happy endings in life. Yes. So It's that paradox that you can't have one without the other. It's hand in hand. Martine Brechtel says that grief and praise are different sides of the same coin. Yeah, so they're conjoined. This is a conjoined thing, and it's so important that we get to a point in our lives where we really get this, or we want to get this, because otherwise we will continue to cycle through a suffering from the past or that worrying about the future. Yeah. But if we can be able to embrace and accept that what is happening right now that's causing me pain is actually going to enable me and grow me to have more joy in my life. Imagine that. Yeah. Yeah. So here's what I had shared from Martine Preschtel, which I think is just a beautiful, beautiful, quick overview about this perspective and importance of grief and praise. One, modern culture suppresses deep human nature in the art of grief. Grief is natural, necessary, and an obligation to life itself. Our first song is grief, the primal loss of birth, meaning that when we come out as babies, that's our first grief. Young infatuation is grief for the divine, not just a person. Grief is praise, love's way of honoring what is missed. Community or nature is essential for real grieving. Ungrieved loss becomes toxic, causing addiction and generational haunting. Wow. Revenge is frozen grief, manipulated for power and gain. An ungrieved war creates a black hole of loss, demanding more violence. Yeah. So, as you can see, this has such a powerful impact, this energetic of grief and praise. And when we don't get to do our grief, it's just, yeah, it's just not a good day. Linda's saying, perfect. Thank you. It is being a day of endings, so beginnings. Yes. Yes. And we really want to have that, hold on to that in our lives. Yeah. So let me define emotional presencing and then transparency. So, this is the willingness to disconnect from your surroundings and let go of being distracted by the past or anxious about the future to become present to your emotions. Feel them without analyses and connect to the deepest source of self, to go to the inner place of stillness where inner knowing can come to the surface. Yeah. And I've adapted that definition from Otto Scharmer, who is a wonderful, wonderful, what is he? I think he's like a social scientist. I'll call him that. He works through MIT. And he talks about leadership. And he was mentored by Peter Senge, one of the great voices in the 1990s about organizational learning and what real leadership is, that it's not external, it's an inside out job. Yeah. And so, this notion of getting present, being present as an important skill, he calls it, for leaders. But I also think it's just an important skill for us as human beings to really understand why, like if you've been following the Venerable Bhikkhu Panakara, who did the walk for peace from Fort Worth, Texas to Washington, D.C. over a 5-month period. If you've been following him and listening to him, that's what he's saying. He's saying, until we get present with ourselves and take on a practice to empty out whatever is causing us to be unpeaceful, there will be no peace in the world. And so basically what he is preaching is get present, to be present. And to do that, he talks about letting go of multitasking. Yeah. Because, we've been so conditioned that you can't just be focusing on one thing at a time. You could be focusing on 3 things at a time. Um, and so getting present with our emotions is so important because we are so used to and we're so trained to, right? Do what? Yeah, swallow them, push them aside, don't feel it, don't think about it, don't have it, don't do it. Um, and it comes from water my throat. It comes from not just modern culture, which wanted to turn humans into robots for industrial reasons, but it goes back further than that. It really is from like in the medieval days. If you lost control of your emotions, especially during the Spanish Inquisition, where people were being accused of being witches and warlocks and burned at the stake. So if you lost control of your emotions, somebody could say, that person's got the devil in them. I saw them. I heard them. They got the devil in them. And so you could be burned at the stake. So yeah, that's a good reason why people swallow back them emotions and like, let's hide this, don't show it, don't be transparent. When somebody says, how you doing? Just say, oh, I'm fine. I'm good. Everything's good. And so historically, as human beings, we have not been allowed to freely express our emotions, to show our emotions. It's been labeled as a weakness or you're crazy, it's all of that kind of thing. But what's interesting is, some of the most delicious parts of a good movie, of a drama or a dramedy is what, or even a drama, is when a person who's been hiding their emotions finally releases them, right? We look for that. We wait for that in the movie. It's like, okay, when are they going to do it? When are they going to break down? When are they going to express their love? When are they going to break open? So it's something that as humans, we definitely desire and we want. But again, we still haven't quite figured out, how do I do this? How do I give myself permission to do this? How do I get support to do this? Yeah. So let me add the definition to transparency with you because I think that is a component to this. Yeah, and this being vulnerable with ourselves emotionally. So, emotional transparency is usually resulting from emotional presencing. It is the ability to express and share your feelings and emotions without transferring your pain. Yes, I'm gonna highlight that in red. This isn't about manipulation of others to get attention, pity, or to be rescued. It is for you to express yourself as emotionally intelligent and vulnerable, not suppressing your emotions or weaponizing them. Yeah, very, very important. It's not about control drama, rama. Yeah. And this is this is the hard part. This is again what we're trying to figure out and learn. Like when is it appropriate? What is a good situation for me to be in to be emotionally present and emotionally transparent? Can I control it? Um, can I really ignore it long enough before it just explodes out of me in a place or in a space where I think it shouldn't be happening? I mean, these are some of the things that, we're working with, we're dealing with in terms of this really, really important piece of our humanity, you know? We're human beings and we have this part to us. So I'm going to share with you this clip that I have from 2019. And it is from a Wisdom Walk talk where I was talking about emotional support and about how we need it. How do we let ourselves have it? How do we not let ourselves have it? And so in there, I give this canon experience. Yeah. I won't say anything more about it. I'm just going to share it with you and then we can talk about it. Those of you that can comment in the chat, please do so. But I'll give some remarks about it after I share it with you. This is the first time I am sharing a video through my live stream, so I'm praying that it goes well. So here we go. Now I'm trying to figure out which one it is. Oh, it's this one. Okay, here we go. And the only way you can get to discern, to understand, to really look at what's going on in my experience of manifesting emotional support is I've got to get to my present. I gotta do my presencing. And to get present, you gotta get still, like he says in his, there it is. Okay. Is his definition. Go to that inner place of stillness where knowing comes to the surface. Yeah. So here's a quick example of presencing that I had just today. So last night I had some dreams and there was some fire stuff in it and some running around a witch's castle, and trying to get out, all that kind of stuff is going on. And when I became more conscious, the fire thing, I started to think about my grandfather. My grandfather had been a welder in a shipyard in Quincy, Massachusetts for most of his career. He got trained during World War II, started out in a shipyard in Wilmington, Delaware. And when they moved, he moved with them. The family moved. And so I'm feeling this grandfather energy, it's like, okay. And that fire says to me, it's the ancestors who are trying to talk to you. Okay. But I'm kind of, waking up and going about my business and then I hear something say to me, you need to read your inspirational book, your 365 days inspirational things. I'm like, okay, I can do that. So I did get still enough to open up the page and I read that to you at the beginning of the broadcast. That was what I read. And when I read this about, basically about honoring the ancestors, realizing these are the persons whose shoulders you're standing upon, you are their dream. And it went like click. And I realized that I've got all of this emotion inside of me. And it just grips me. And then in the next moment, I am hearing a message from the ancestors. And they're saying to me, we're so proud of you. Good for you. You're hanging in there. You never give up. You keep going. We're so proud of you. And I'm just like feeling this, like, almost a little overwhelmed, like, wow. And so then I say, okay, I'm waking up. This is, coming from the dream. This is nice. This is good. Let me keep going. So I keep moving. And then I decide I need to go to the store and I'm going to walk around the corner to the supermarket entrance. The phone rings and it's my friend calling back. Says, well, the reason I didn't call you is because I'm doing a fire ritual in my backyard right now. And I'm like, oh my God. And so I go into an aisle that is empty. It's got like paper towels in it and whatnot. And we're talking and I start to share with her about the message I got from the ancestors. I mention my grandfather's name and then I lose it. I just start crying profusely because now my granddad is right there with me and he's saying, you are my dream. The reason I could stay in that shipyard and do that stuff is because I knew that my children and my grandchildren wouldn't have to suffer like this. They wouldn't have to go through this, that you were going to have your education and you were going to move mountains and you were going to be and I'm just like, oh my God, I was almost hysterical, and my friend's on the phone with me, just holding space. The fire's going in the backyard and I'm just letting myself cry. And I had a Bluetooth in my ear, right? It's not like I'm holding the phone up to my ear. So like I'm snotting and crying, talking to making some talk to my friends, and a couple people come down the aisle I'm like facing the paper towels, right, holding onto the shelf, and I'm just having my moment, And I know they was like, this woman's a little crazy. Like aisle 9, you got somebody over here that's kind of being a little crazy. But I didn't care. I didn't care because I was being to those emotions that needed to well up in me and needed to come out. And I don't need to analyze it or anything. I just needed to feel it because it had obviously been bubbling up all night long. I needed to get to these emotions, to this feeling. And it was just such a beautiful release. Such a beautiful release, like I've been holding in some kind of a fear, some kind of a block about, moving forward in my life, taking a next step in my life. And this just was like, oh no, you need to know it ain't just about you. This is like been coming for a long, long time. And so it was such turned into be such a beautiful, beautiful moment. And when I came back from the store, I did have to lay down. I was just like taken out. And how wonderful to be able to allow ourselves to have that. And I'm sure I'll get some more revelation or insight, something will show up as a result. But it's that kind of experience that we can have. It was a most loving experience for me. Like I felt good about myself after that. I felt relieved after it. I knew something had shifted. Something had shifted. So whatever that fear stuff is that I was obviously holding. Okay. At least the video I mean, the audio didn't mess up. And those lags in the video itself are really coming from when I originally filmed that. I was actually doing it from a camera, and probably didn't have the camera speed right. But anyway, but you get the idea, you get the message of what that was, what was going on for me, having my canon moment in the supermarket in Santa Monica. That's where I was in 2019. So, as I listen to that again, um, I can really, really get why, we will push this stuff back and push it out of the way. Because it is really, so powerful. It's coming from a mysterious place in a mysterious way, especially when, you've been like me, where you're always in charge of everything, and everybody around you. And so to actually be taken by spirit into experiencing yourself as a pure human being with raw emotions and feelings that just took over so that there I am in the supermarket holding on to the paper towels in the aisle, just crying, just sobbing, just letting it rip. And the grief connection in this story that I shared with you for me is about how I was very close to my grandfather, as most of us were, cousins. We had a lot of respect for him. He really was a great patriarch. And when he died, I was asked to do the obituary, to read the obituary and say some words. And so, of course, because now I'm on stage presenting right at the church, I'm fighting back tears, just fighting back tears. And so I never really let myself have my full on grief moments about my grandfather during the time when family was gathered, and so it has taken many years for that grief to flow out of me and in different ways. It happened another time when I was at a conference, and it was all about storytelling, and, you had to, tell a story of something, and it came to my mind to talk about my grandfather. Oh my god. I got into that story, and at one point, I just had to stop. And, of course, you apologize, right, for people for being human. "I'm sorry. I just can't. I just need a moment." But I was just sobbing and sobbing, and even after that session was over, I took myself to my room and I was just sobbing and sobbing, which was so wonderful because I hadn't gotten it out. I hadn't gotten it out before. So, I share that with you. Hey, Daphne, thank you for the love. I share that with you just as an example. And maybe some of you have had these kinds of experiences before where, there's something and you can feel it. You can feel the feelings moving in you, the emotion. And then, the volcano goes off or the dam breaks. And yeah, you just have to let it rip, just have to be with it. And so that is what emotional presencing and transparency is, you know. And Daphne says, yes, all the time. All right, my dear. Lovely. And, I think we're in a time now where it's really important that we really do give ourselves permission to go there, to be this human, and not be afraid we're going to get burned at the stake because somebody's going to say, oh, they doing witchcraft because they crying in the supermarket holding on to paper towels. But that we really see it as an opportunity to experience ourselves as emotionally intelligent and courageously vulnerable. Courageously vulnerable. Yeah. So I want to share some contemplative questions for you in regards to this. Let me remove this. Yeah, I learned that I can't put two things up at the same time. So let's see how I do this. If I put that here, there we go. All right. So, number one, what blocks you from being emotionally present and transparent? Give that some thought. Number two, what support do you believe you need to experience this part of your humanity? And then number three, what are three things you can do to help yourself and others to experience their emotional presencing and transparency? Yeah, just run those through your mind. Give it some thought. And my dear friend Queen Noor, who I believe is listening in tonight, she has created a beautiful, beautiful platform that has these women showing up, including me, into the space that she has created where you're safe enough to be very, very emotionally present and very transparent. Yeah. And I know we need more opportunities like that, more situations like that, where we can just be our authentic self, be our human self, and allow ourselves to feel what it is that we need to feel. Because I think there's such great purpose with grief and praise. Again, back to the purpose of unhappy endings, right? So that we can get to those happy endings. This is a part of that paradox. Yeah. So I hope this was helpful to you, supportive to you as you continue to do your self mastery and to really, really understand that being a self master requires us to really be human. And being human requires us to be emotionally present and transparent. Yeah, absolutely. Ah, there's Queen Noor. She says, thank you for your presence and high energy to experience and share with others. Oh, how beautiful. Thank you, my darling. Very grateful for you. So here's my quote from Miss Sarah for tonight. And Miss Sarah says, failure is impossible. It is an illusion. Nothing is a failure. Everything moves with the human story. Hence, the progress of evolution forward. Everything advances you on your journey. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, my ancestor, Queen Mama Sarah. Absolutely. And dear Lynn says, deep gratitude. You are so welcome. So welcome, my dear. So welcome. Emily, thank you for your example of how to honor ourselves in this work. Absolutely. Hey, Michael. Good evening to you too, my darling. Thank you for letting me know that you're tuning in. Yes, yes, yes. I love it. And so, my dears, we are at the close of this episode. And I want to, as always, shout out to all my regular viewers and listeners out there, to those of you who have wisdom walk with me or done ritual with me, like Lynn. And you know who you are, to my family here in the Midwest and those on both coasts, to my spiritual kin and my medicine brothers and sisters around the world, and those who are listening for the first time. I want to say thank you. Big thank you. I couldn't do this without your willingness to take on your self mastery. And I thank you. I thank you for your commitment to do that and for giving me the opportunity to be supportive and of service to you in this way and at this time. Ashe. So I want to share my upcoming with you for September. Can you believe it? We're coming to September in another week and a half. Oh my God. I will, of course, do the elemental wisdom for September on Thursday, the first Thursday, September the 3rd. September is a mineral month. I love it. My astrology for self mastery should be on September the 6th. And then I'll come back on the 20th because the full moon again is towards the end of the month. And then my next Wisdom Walk talk will be on Sunday, September the 13th. Yeah, way cool. So Lynn says, here comes the love from your Earth friend. Thank you. Thank you, Earth sister. Just amazing how blessed I am. So as always, want to share my promos of some other spiritual kin. Miss Queen Reverend Adara, her Heart for Healing service is an online Zoom every first and third Wednesday at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You go to our website, spiritismylife.com, click on events, and you will get access free of charge to her wonderful about an hour long service where she does an incredibly powerful meditation. She's who I go to when I really need to be taken deep down under. She's amazing. And then to Queen Juanita and Amy Houghton for their book, The Underground Railroad, still available online through Kindle and, of course, through Amazon. And excuse me, it's a wonderful, wonderful rendition of using the medicine wheel, the Dagmar medicine wheel, to help us grow. And as she says here, remember soul and spirit. She really does they do a fabulous job in that, but Juanita really carries the medicine very, very well. Absolutely. And as always, just a reminder about my book, Wisdom Walk to Self Mastery, Ancient Wisdom for Transforming Pain. And hopefully in 2027, or at least the beginning of 2028, the next part of this series of Wisdom Walk will be available for you. I am working on it. And last but not least, I want to thank my God, my ancestors, my spirit guides, loving entities, everything that walks with me, keeps my head to the sky, my feet to the ground, and my heart open to do this important work with and for all of you. Now, have a very healthy and safe Earth Week that we started on Thursday, being supportive, inspirational, and paying it forward. Now, continue to strengthen your immune system, protect your nervous system by praying for others versus taking on their pain. And most importantly, my darlings, please remember that you are not disposable. And why is that? Yeah, it is because you are divine. Good night now.